All right. Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, April 17th. Tomorrow, the market is closed. So, this is effectively a trader's Friday. Yesterday, the main focus was how price responded to that 18,800 level of interest that was tested during the overnight sesh following a gap lower. That area gets rejected, right? You got the gap lower, rejection. And ultimately, into the afternoon, price trades lower into this daily pivot and this 18K right through here. So, the question for today is whether or not the buying that we saw into the close yesterday and then also during the overnight session can show a continuation up through 600 into 800 into 19K and potentially into the near term range high. So, as of right now, I'm treating this near term action following last Wednesday's session as a range. If we end up seeing sellers show some strength versus this 18,600, that would kind of negate that idea. That would negate the near term range idea. And you can expect that, 300 is going to be retested and probably a true test down into the 18K. So really focus on the reaction here at 18,600. It can definitely be a slower day today. It is a shortened week, right? We got the long Easter weekend coming up. So market is closed tomorrow. Let's take a look. Do we have no 10 a.m. data today? But we do have some Fed speak this afternoon. And then we do have, it looks like Netflix earnings after the bell today. So it's definitely been a much slower week than the past couple of weeks. Still some pretty good setups in there, but slower nonetheless. All right, here's our pre-market look. We've got VWAP right here, 520 area, session volume point of control 535. Overnight high is way up there at 652. Overnight low 18,345. So it looks like we're gonna have an open right here in no man's land. So let's see what this open looks like. A little less than a minute till that 9:30 open. It should technically be a little gap higher. Very, very small gap higher. There's your open. 18,500 area. Session volume, point of control steps lower, 18,503. So some weakness off the open. There's prior day close being tested right here. New lows being made. This is all, like I said, this is all no man's land. So I can't do anything in this area. It's a waiting game. There's actually a low volume print right there a minute ago for relative volume. $18,400. Let's see, overnight low. See that overnight low tested. Can we get there? Some prior day structure through this area. Right through here. I like to see 300 be tested, or at least the overnight low. You got some relative strength in Russell, RTY. Volume kind of low this morning. A little bit low. NQ, new low of day. All right, chipping away at that overnight low. Let's see. Volume is definitely well below average. Pre-holiday things. A little bit of a bounce there. A little bit of a bounce versus some prior day structure. Small bounce. No position for me. Another good test of patience this morning. It's kind of the main structure at play right here. Prior day structure point. Trail hanging on by a thread. What was the play? NQ, you got some sellers there versus the fib sell zone. This is all still no man's land for me. So, per my playbook, I can't do anything. Cannot do anything. Just got to wait. NQ back into the session low. There's your first 15 minutes. Almost a new low of day. There it is. New low. See if we actually trade into overnight low. ES, you had a nice rejection at VWAP. Nice setup there. Personally, still cash. Yeah, main thing I'm looking for right now is some reaction into overnight low. Otherwise, there's absolutely nothing to do. Here's the 5 minute just sitting on that prior day structure point. It's a pretty solid structural point, but in the current backdrop, bearish neutral, not somewhere I'd want to set risk against personally. Five-minute does look pretty good. But again, from what location? So you got to be willing to pass on some trades. Into VWAP. Is that a new high? Not quite. The spring ends up being pretty nice down here if you have a solid, stronger location. $30 minute into 10, yeah. Big hamski. Let's see how that closes. Still cash. Still all cash. No trades. Like I was saying earlier, very good test of patience so far. Sellers giving a try there at VWAP so far. We got 4 minutes till 10 a.m. No data. D-Well, you got the 400 spring. Nice work. Trade of 8 crashed again. It's like a daily occurrence. It's a nice rejection there at VWAP. Good THT. Good old 2-hour trader framework. No, I like the app. I like the app, Mish. No, I'm on Trade of 8. My computer's Apple, so Trade of 8 is the move. We'll see if buyers can force the higher low right there as we get into 10 a.m. Chrissy, how we doing? You grabbing some trades from no man's land? How's the morning? Irv, what's up, man? Grabbing that RTY? Nice. Very nice. Ray, no trade so far? Same. It's a cash morning right now. The trial of the think tank is based on whenever you sign up. So not for the first of the month, and then you can cancel and modify your account from the not from the app, but from the browser. So if you need to adjust anything. Wow, raise back into equities. What is going on? What the what the He saw me trading ES, he wanted to try something new. Yeah, Benny, I'm with you. I like to see some overnight low. VWAP working pretty nicely. I don't short, so that's out of the question for me. Yeah, long only. Long only, D-Wall. Yeah, you got me trading gold now. That's crazy. Long only. Yeah, I actually been meaning to make a video on it for a while, but some of that stuff is just it's on the back burner, you know. It's like get to it when I can. But long only just ties in with my kind of philosophy that less is more. Less is more. And it originally started just kind of as a joke in late 2023. I think the market, if I'm not mistaken, that was the time period, but it was just vertical. Let's check really quick while we're in no man's land here. It was, yeah, it was over here. It was over here. Remember, like it was yesterday, D Wall, right through there, vertical. So it started through there, just kind of like jokingly, and then my hit rate really improved. It was already good, like 75%, and it went up even more. So I was like, well, the real test will be when we enter more bearish conditions, and then I did fine through here, and so I just decided to keep it. And it does mean you have to give up some pretty nice opportunities, but what I found was that the mental clarity from it, for me anyway, was super helpful. So I was just able to focus better on what I wanted to see, and I didn't find myself like flip-flopping. So that's kind of a quick overview on the long only. NQ back into session lows right now. No, Benny, I wouldn't say it's bad to be flexible. I mean, you got to be able to adapt, right? So I would say that in more bearish conditions, trading long is definitely more challenging. So, like setups that will work in a bullish environment that are going to be, you know, pretty easy income sources are just not going to work nearly as well in a bearish environment. And if you don't if you don't know the kind of nuance, then you're going to be like, well, why isn't this working anymore? And that can be frustrating. Can cause deviations from the system. So when things are more bearish, if you're like in my instance, if you're focusing on long only, you have to be way, way more selective. Hit rate while shorting is higher than in long positions. Yeah, so you could even try like the opposite, short only. But it's good to look at the data and kind of once you have an edge that is reliable, looking at, well, how can you improve it, right? How can you make that edge even sharper? And that's where tagging your trades and understanding nuance really has a big impact. Like understanding the conditions that make your particular setup strong and then just trying to maximize those conditions. Like right now, NQ's been in, for my system, NQ's just been in no man's land the whole morning. So instead of giving away money today, or on the flip side, even if I made money, I'd be potentially developing bad habits. I'm just cash right now. Just cashed out. NQ buyers liking that 18,400 area. Yeah, D-wall. See that's when you know you have that's like when that only comes after years of experience. Like once you've studied it enough to where it's like installed into your subconscious. At that point, it's just a matter of not overthinking it, like not letting the conscious brain override the subconscious. It's almost like you have to enter like a flow state when you're trading. But that's only after like years and years. Nice bounce versus 400 again right there. When you're good, it's flow state. When you're bad, it's tilting. Exactly. Exactly. All right, we're 45 minutes in. I've got no trades yet. This very well could be a no trade day. NTD. We'll see here. Volume's definitely light. So I have on my RVol script, which should be ready this weekend for Traders Think Tank members. The black bars here are low, like below 1. Orange is normal. Or excuse me, red. Oh, let's just look at the settings. Yeah, so black is 0.8, red is 0.9, and then orange is 1. Once you start to get into that light green, it's 1.5, and then different shades of green will be 2 and 3. So it's looking at 2x, 3x volume. So black and red is like well below average. And that's looking at not prior bars like earlier in the sesh, but prior day at the exact same time. So it's a true relative volume read. That was something we used in equities. That was super helpful. So this is like a small or maybe even a big level up from the minimum volume threshold that we were previously using, which is just 750 on the 1 minute. It's like a really good gauge, but this kind of takes it up a level. Takes it up a notch. And it works for the overnight sesh too. See, like right here, you have like 3x. And then with the, what was that this morning? Retail sales. Got like a 2x right there. So that's pretty nice. All right, NASDAQ, we're back into session lows. Let's get the flush here. New low of day, NASDAQ. Not quite into that overnight low just yet. Like to see if we get that true test. As of right now, no position. If it ends up being a cash day, no big deal. All right, back into the lows. Here comes that overnight low. So we're looking at overnight low down into the 300 level of interest. There's your true test of that overnight low. 18,345. So level doesn't look like it undercut. Does not look like there's any undercut there. Down through overnight low. It's like pretty limited buying interest so far. Got that next 30-minute bar closing here in 2 minutes. Yeah, no interest there at overnight low. We'll see how 300 is going to be treated. Looks like the bot caught that short. It's always nice. So if 300 fails, you're looking at a prior day low, that big pivot down near 18K. Overnight low rejected there on the retest. Yeah, if you read that bearish scenario, big volume now. Look at that volume. So if we see that failure here at 300, you're looking at prior day low, like I said. Keep an eye on that volume. Looks like very limited interest here at the 300. We'll see how this 5-minute bar shapes up. Rolls right over. Check your 5 minute with the overnight low overhead too. Yeah. Ideal scenario is a reclaim up above that overnight low and then some favorable structure. Like I had mentioned in the note this morning, if you end up seeing that rejection here at 600, it tells us that this is less likely to be a near-term range. Because when you have a range, once price tests the lower portion of the range, it should trade into the near-term range high, or at least into the upper portion. So if you roll over at a mid-range level of interest, not necessarily a great sign there, if you ask me, from a structural perspective. There's your new low on the day. So it's looking more likely that prior day low is going to trade, which means it's going to be a cash day for me. So I'll look at this area prior day low down in a daily pivot. Solid line right there. Here's daily pivot, and then the 18K level of interest. See what kind of reaction we get down there, but it's probably going to take at least another hour, I would guess. So far, no trade day. I think I'm going to call it right there. If we end up seeing a reclaim of that 300, I'll look at that with some favorable market structure, but otherwise, that's a wrap. That is a wrap for me. Hope you guys had a good one. Remember, market is not open tomorrow. So we'll see you again on Monday morning, back at it. Enjoy the long weekend. Happy Easter. And we will see you on Monday. Take care.